Hey everyone, welcome back to the workshop. Artisan Pirate here, and in today's Fun Scroll Saw project video, I have another amazing design by Steve Good, and it's going to be kind of a similar design to something we made a couple years ago right over here on the channel. This was what we made a couple years ago, and it's an exploded style vase, also a Steve Good design, and made primarily from 3/4 inch material, and it simulates wood bending, but it's made entirely over on a scroll saw. Once again, showing off the scroll saw's amazing versatility for creative patterns. Steve has uploaded a newer style design of the vase, and it is made entirely out of 1/4 inch material, so the pieces are going to be a little bit thinner, a little bit more narrow, and of course a little bit more fragile, so please keep that in mind if you are going to attempt this project. I've already got all the pattern printed out and attached to our material with clear packing tape, and what I love about the pattern packs that you download over at Steve's pattern catalog is he goes above and beyond and draws out each individual piece you need in the PDF format. But I'm going to take advantage of stack cutting here and cut out all 10 of the side pieces here, these struts, in just 5 passes. You know, due to stack cutting we'll get all 10 needed, but Steve does draw out all 10 in the pack you download if you want to cut them all out individually. I just like saving a little bit of time with stack cutting. And keep in mind, this is a tabbed and slotted design, so you need to of course take your time and let the blade do the work and be as loyal as you can to the cut line. And one thing I will say is not all 1/4 inch material you pick up to scroll saw with runs at a true 1/4 inch in thickness, if that makes any sense. So I always have a scrap piece of the same material I'm going to be cutting, and I took it and I redrew all of the slots here that I'm going to be cutting to the correct thickness of the material that we are scrolling. And what you're going to see once we get over to the scroll saw during the time-lapse portion is me using this piece. When I get a slot cut, I will test it to make sure each individual slot is a nice snug fit to this material. That way when we get everything scrolled out and we sand it, the assembly will hopefully go smoothly. And since everything is pretty much prepared, let's move the camera over to the workbench, drill our pilot holes so we can head over to the scroll saw and start scrolling. And over here on the workbench, I'm going to take the Seiko Scroller's drill and drill out all of the pilot holes for internal cutting. And there's only 22 or so internal cuts on this project, but they are 22 very important cuts that need to be as loyal to the cut line as you can possibly make it. As you can see here, I'm cutting out those little slots there and double checking the fit of each one with a scrap piece of the same material I am cutting. For all of the scrolling on this project, I will be using a number 5 Ultra reverse tooth blade, and it will cut through all the material exceptionally well with minimal chip out. As soon as I seen Steve Good upload this design, I knew I had to try it because I had made the previous design and it was just such a fun and unique project to make. If you guys would like to try this pattern, it's available as a free pattern download over at Steve Good's scrollsawworkshop.blogspot.com website over in his free pattern catalog. And it is one of his newer pattern uploads from 2024. Just going through here, cutting out all of the pieces. And all the pieces here are just one individual piece of 1/4 inch material. And you see I have my little parts bin there to keep up with all the pieces we are cutting out. And a sharp scroll saw blade will simply fly through 1/4 inch material. So I was being careful and being as loyal as I could be to the cut line. And here we are cutting out all 10 of the struts that make up the shape of the vase. And those right angle turns at the bottom need to be as nice and crisp as you can make them, so they will slide perfectly into the slots we cut out earlier. And we are stack cutting 5 of these here, getting a total of 10 of the struts to make up the shape of the vase. If you guys like what you're seeing, I would highly encourage you to subscribe to my channel and also follow me across all my social medias under the Artisan Pirate name. I'd really appreciate the support. And all in all, it does not take long to cut this project out. It took me maybe around 30 minutes to scroll it out. The hardest and most tedious part is making sure all of the slots on the rings are a nice uniform size and consistency
That way, when we get to assembly, everything will go together smoothly. But cutting out the last piece here, and we can go over to the workbench and quickly spread all the pieces out. Make sure everything is accounted for here, and then we can get ready for sanding. Over at my sanding area, I will be using a 180 grit Klingspor Woodworking Shop sandpaper sanding sheet and my vibrating palm sander, and I will sand the front and back of all the pieces with small circular motions. And I'll be very careful here because, again, this is 1/4 inch material and I did not want to add too much pressure and break something. But didn't take long to sand everything up, and we were ready to begin assembly. I once again spread everything out, and with all multi-part projects, I have a picture of how the project is put together saved on my cell phone. And I'll be assembling this project with medium grade CA glue and activator. And using CA glue and the activator, I do have to work quickly here because the glue basically bonds instantly. You of course have the option, if you want to glue this together with basic wood glue. You would just have to wait a lot longer before proceeding with more steps of the assembly process. But I let the first set dry around 5 minutes before gluing in the top ring here. Again, I'm being very careful because this is 1/4 inch material again, and not adding too much pressure. And I'll use some clamps to hold that top ring on while it dries and cures. But after another 5 minutes, all the gluing was dried and cured, and I decided to add a splash of color with a light Minwax wood stain. And you can totally skip this step. I just wanted to add a splash of color to it. You can always paint a project like this or cut it out of exotic or hardwoods. But after wiping off the excess and hanging it on a hook to dry for around an hour, it was time to apply a finish, and I gave it several coats of Rust-Oleum clear gloss out in the bright southern sunshine. And when it dried, the project was complete.
And here we have the completed artistic stylized exploded vase, cut out completely from start to finish over on the scroll saw. Once again showing off the scroll saw's amazing versatility and capability of making amazing and unique designs such as this. Thank you, Steve Good, for another fantastic design from your pattern catalog. I hope it goes without saying that this project here is very fragile, being made out of 1/4 inch material, and I would hate to see anyone break it once they've made it, so just be careful however you choose to display this project. It took me around 30 minutes to scroll the project out completely from start to finish. It's not an overly complicated design, it's just with the nature of it, you're wanting all 10 of the slats to look uniform, and of course you want all the tabs and slots to fit snugly and perfectly once you get to the assembly process. So of course, as always, I took my time and let the blade do the work. And I finished it in my standard rustic finishing way. I gave it a light Minwax wood stain to allow the 1/4 inch material I pick up to document the videos over here on the channel with to shine through, and then I put it on a hook and gave it several coats of Rust-Oleum clear gloss for a finish, and now it is ready to be displayed. But really, really neat. I see a lot of finishing options for this as well as making it. I feel if you didn't want to make it out of plywood such as I have in today's video, and you have the capabilities of milling the material down, you could also make this project out of exotic or hardwoods if you can get it to a 1/4 inch thickness. I see in my mind's eye all 10 of the slats here being made out of maybe a dark walnut, while all 4 of the rings, the 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom, being made out of maybe a light maple, or vice versa. You do darker rings and lighter slats here. And of course, with all scroll saw projects, you have the option of painting them or staining them as I have done in today's video. But really, really cool. After finishing options, there's also several display options. Of course, Steve Good intended a candle to go down in this, you know, one of those long, narrow ones. But please keep in mind, if you're going to put a candle in this, please make sure it's an electronic LED one that does not produce any heat, because you do not want to open flame anywhere near the wood here. And that's just my opinion on that. But I also see other options. If you know people that are into glass blowing, they could make you a tube after taking measurements to go down in here to hold water or a liquid to where you could put live flowers in it or anything like that. And of course you could display artificial flowers in it without the need of a tube. But when my mind starts thinking in an artistry style way, I also see maybe a light going in here, you know, to cast off a creepy and unique glow during Halloween time. You know, that's just how my mind thinks. And I think with all 10 of the slats, you know, it would cast shadows around a room and everything. And you can also flip it over and use the bottom here as the top and have that as like a little pedestal or platform to display something on. I know when we made the original one on the channel a couple years ago, this one is a lot shorter and more robust, made out of thicker 3/4 inch material. I said in this video I could see this going on the end of a staff or walking stick, especially if you do dress up and cosplay events like that or reenactments and you want to be a medieval witch or wizard. You know, I feel that would look like a cool, unique top ornament for a walking stick or staff. So a lot of finishing options and a lot of uses for projects like this. But I hope in today's video I have inspired you guys to go out in your garage or workshops and try a unique and versatile design like this to really show off what a scroll saw is capable of. I know I had a lot of fun in today's video, and I hope you guys like watching me make today's project. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe to it and also follow me across all my social medias under the Artisan Pirate. As always, links to contact me as well as all my social medias will always be linked down in the description box below these videos. That's about all for this one, and remember guys, if I can make it or do it, so can you. I'm the Artisan Pirate. Take care, and I'll see you guys real soon.